So right now we're going to rip a board in half. It's a simple process. We've got the table saw set up. We make sure there's nothing around us that's going to interfere with the work. We're going to set the blade height to just above the height of the board we're ripping, so not too much of the blade is exposed to save our fingers. We are going to make sure our pusher is here for the end of the cut, and we're going to set our distance. I need these boards for a planter box we're building, and we're going to make sure that the board thickness is exactly half the board so we don't waste any wood, and we'll rip the whole board in half and reuse both halves to make sure we keep lots. Okay? Gloves, glasses, no puppy is needed for ripping wood, and we're going to make sure he's out of the way in a second. That the perfect position, Ozzy. We're going to have the boards close by what we need. We're just going to rip them through one at a time and make sure that we cut them to length afterwards, because we know approximately how many boards we have. I don't worry too much about the pusher with these big boards because we're cutting a wide board, but you always have it on hand for the end. All right, I'm going to move Ozzy, so hang on one second. My boss. There you go. So we always check the board for nails, pins, staples, and we have a staple right here. It's well off to one side, so we'll just remove it. Hang on one second. So the fence is locked. We know we want a depth of 1 3/4 on a true 2x4, which is 1.5 by 3.5. So we're going to rip them to 1 3/4. We turn the saw on. Make sure the blade's completely stopped. Two of the most important things are, when you're pushing the board through, is to keep the back side of the board against your fence to make sure that it's a nice, smooth, clean cut all the way through it at 1 3/4. If you allow it to start drifting away, it'll pull naturally. Same as warped wood will pull naturally, same as wet wood. So you want to make sure it's nice and solid, dry wood, and away you go. So we've ripped the wood, and we're just going to go over a couple of important things what I follow when I'm ripping wood. I want to make sure the wood isn't wet. If you're trying to rip wet wood, it's impossible. Warped wood, you won't get a straight cut. So you want to make sure your wood is dry and straight. Really important. When you're ripping the wood, especially a fairly long piece like this is an 8-foot piece of wood. When you're ripping a piece of wood like this, you want to keep the back of the wood tight with the fence all the time. If you allow it to wander up at the front there, that end of the wood, and it'll start to curve away on you, you'll never get a straight cut, and you'll be fighting with that wood the whole time. Just a couple important things to remember, that's all. Dry, straight wood, keep it tight to the fence, make sure your fence is locked down tight, and you shouldn't have any problems getting a nice straight cut. So, successful rip. It was fun. The sun came out. We got the wood ripped down we needed to get done. Let's move on to the next project, and we'll see you soon.